Back when I made my sandwich from scratch, one of the most difficult items for me to obtain was salt, which is a natural resource lacking in my home state of Minnesota. In the end, I ended up going to the Pacific Ocean to extract it from ocean water, which led to me nearly being arrested for trying to fly it back home.
I'm at the airport now, and security pulls me aside, opens up my bag, takes out the salt. Like, I might be going to jail now.
However, I looked into a bunch of other options for salt sources, such as salt mines, and have been curious about them ever since. Now recently I found myself in Utah, which in stark contrast to Minnesota, has multiple different sources of salt available. So I decided to check out one of them, the Redmond salt mine. Operating since 1958, the ancient salt deposit in this area originally began at the surface, but now they've dug mines down as deep as 500 feet to access it. The grandson of the original owner, Daryl, took me down to explore the mine.
All right, so we're deep in the mine now. How far down are we?
We're probably about 500 feet down. So this salt that's behind us, everything you see is solid salt from the Jurassic era. So this is 150 million year old salt.
Yeah.
You could go lick the wall and you'd be licking part of history.
Wow.
Within the mine, there's a lot of different grades of salt. Most of the salt that comes out of this mine actually goes for roads, to keep roads safe. A lot of the salt also goes for agriculture.
For road salt, Daryl showed us the machines that are used to drill holes into the walls. Once drilled, they are blasted with dynamite between shifts late at night. The resulting loose salt rock is then hauled out to the surface and crushed to the desired size. For edible salt, only the white bands of pure salt can be mined for that. Rather than dynamite, they use a grinder machine to chip away and collect the edible salt.
So what percent do you do that's food grade?
Very small, less than 1% becomes food salt.
Okay, and that has to do with the purity of the actual salt?
Yeah, so food salt is regulated by something called the Food Codex. And that says that the food salt, or salt for your food, has to be a minimum of 97% NaCl, or sodium chloride. So you can have 3% additives in salt. Now those can be additives, anti-caking agents, chemicals, fillers, or it can be minerals that are naturally found within the salt. Those minerals, not only do they offset the sodium slightly, 3% or so, but it also gives the salt a very unique flavor. Oftentimes people associate salt with this bitter, sharp flavor, and salt is oftentimes that way because it's been processed. If you tasted a piece of this, crystal salt, and you can lick it, and it has a very sweet, natural salt flavor versus that burn the back of your throat salt flavor that we've become to associate with salt.
So what is the pink streaks, what is that?
So the reds are more iron and iodines. Now there's over 60 minerals that show up in the elemental assay.
So there's like Himalayan salts, and that's pink. Is that a different mineral in it?
Very similar. The biggest difference in this deposit and the Himalayan deposit is just 8,000 miles. They were both ancient seabeds in the Jurassic era. There's just a few that we know of that come close enough to the surface to harvest. One of those is in Pakistan. The Himalayan salt comes out of there. There's another really pretty similar salt that comes out of Bolivia. They call it Andean pink, and it's kind of a Bolivian salt. And then in the US, this is the pink salt.
So how did all the salt get here?
Geologists say that in the Jurassic era, this is Pangaea, the supercontinent still, it's pulling apart. Utah was down at sea level, and the Arctic Ocean, what's now the Arctic Ocean, flooded in and left this big body of salt water covering all of Utah.
So because this came from an old sea, is this technically sea salt?
It is. And so one of the beauties about an ancient seabed like this salt here was laid down in its pristine form long before we had, acid rain and sewers and this toxic sludge. And dinosaurs didn't have all of that stuff that we as humans have done to the earth. And so this salt is the way nature created it. We bring it up in the way nature created it and put it in your shaker that way. That is pretty much the entire refining process that we do at Redmond.
Really?
And so you can see how pretty those crystals are, and that's just salt.
Wow.
And so at that point, all we do is we screen it. And so a larger piece like this would become a coarse piece, but that is the entire refining process. So people sometimes ask us if it's really as easy as we say it is, but really you could do the entire process with a hammer out of your toolbox and a screen that you might find at your hardware store. But if you wanted, you could actually go and tap on the wall and break your own piece off and use it for your next meal.
Okay, I'll try that. All right, that's pretty easy.
And now before you leave, we have something we call redneck golf. We'll finish up with that and then send you on your way.
All right, that sounds awesome.
It's kind of a fun activity. We take people and let them shoot a high-powered rifle at some explosives. Good shot. We also have a bowling ball cannon.
Right in the hole.
Oh, shoot.
Whoa.
Boy, that really went.
Thanks to Redmond Incorporated, I have a new source of salt to use in future projects. In the next video, I'll explore a few other salt sources that were available to me while I was in Utah. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and check out other content we have covering a wide variety of topics. Also, if you've enjoyed these series, consider supporting us on Patreon. We are largely a fan-funded channel and depend on the support of our viewers in order to keep our series going. Thanks for watching.